Welcome to Wellness Rebranded, the podcast where a dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mental health therapist get together to explore health and wellness from 3 different healing perspectives. I'm Elizabeth, registered dietitian and certified intuitive eating counselor.
I'm Maria, licensed mental health therapist.
And I'm Tara, personal trainer. We believe in finding ways to nourish a healthy relationship with our mind and body, eating for well-being, not weight, finding joy in moving our bodies, and embracing and understanding our emotions. We are here to help you redesign your relationship with food, fitness, and yourself.
How great would it be if you got science-based guidance from qualified professionals instead of trying out conflicting, overhyped, and unproven trends?
If that sounds as awesome to you as it does to us, join us every week as we dig into strategies to enrich and enhance our day-to-day life and health.
And let's start rebranding your wellness journey.
Hello, lovely listeners. Before we dive into today's episode, we have an exciting announcement. As a thank you for your continued support, we created a complimentary self-care planner download. We want to share with you quick and easy ideas to practice self-care, as well as thought-provoking journal prompts to inspire reflection and self-awareness. It also includes suggestions for how you can keep track of your wellness habits in a healthy and supportive way. Simply click on the link in the show notes to grab your copy, and let's prioritize our wellness. Well, hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Wellness Rebranded. This is Maria, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, as usual, as almost always. That's Elizabeth and Tara. And today, we are talking about quick fitness self-assessments. What is that? What's the purpose? Why? When? How? Tara?
Tell us all the things.
Let me give you the lowdown.
Fitness self-assessment. So I assess myself about my fitness.
Yes, literally, that's what
Well
this
done,
is.
Maria.
Thank you.
Ooh, episode's over. Good job, Maria.
She is mentally fit. Show over.
But this is not about mental fitness. This is about physical fitness, right? Because
Oh, you with your sticklerness.
Yeah.
mental fitness. Fitness people. Okay.
Maybe this is a good time to tell people that we have been working all day on something really, really cool coming your way for Wellness Rebranded, and so we're a little bit tired.
What does that
True.
have to do with mental fitness? Oh,
Because
our
we're like
mental
stumbling
fitness.
all over our
Yeah.
words, that's why.
Oh,
We're on the
okay.
struggle bus with this episode
There
already.
you go.
But something cool
It's
is
gonna be
coming.
worth it though, guys. Be excited. Be excited. So have you guys ever been working out and
Yes.
you've been putting the effort in and nothing really seems to be changing?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is common, right? I see this at the gym frequently. People will be coming for like years and then they'll come up to me and be like, so I've been doing this for 6 years and nothing's changing,
And now what?
right? So
Physically.
yes, physically, in their opinion, nothing is changing. I
Mhm.
can tell you like unequivocally on the inside, things are changing.
Yeah.
That's
If
what
you
I'm-
do anything for 6 years,
that's
things
what
are
I'm saying,
changing.
Yes.
Well,
okay.
and also, no doubt things have also changed, like otherwise, but maybe not as
Right, maybe not here.
like quite like the expectation,
Yeah,
right?
range of motion and maybe
Mm.
that has changed, but
Yes.
not like what you see in the mirror kind of thing.
Yep,
Uh-huh.
totally agree.
Mhm.
So when you are exercising, you should always have a plan. When you come in and just kind of wing it, that's never a good way to get the results very quickly.
Oops.
It's a good way. You have a plan.
Well, you're my plan, but when I'm not with you, I
Right.
don't have a plan.
That's okay because you have a plan for
Okay.
like the resistance training.
Okay.
Cardio, you can actually kind of wing a little bit if your goal is just health.
I'm not trying to run a marathon.
Right, you're not trying to run a marathon, you're not participating in triathlon or something, all right, you just want to be healthy, just go move.
Yeah.
Get out of breath and sweaty and that's good enough,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
But you should be doing some sort of tracking to determine if your workout is working or not.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people forget about this. We don't often go like, all right, let me assess my plan and see if what I'm doing is being helpful. And that's what the self-assessment is about today.
Oh, and
Okay.
is this self-assessment also helpful so that you know your starting point? Like what
Yes.
if you're not currently
Yeah.
working out?
So it's actually the best time to do it is when you're just beginning, because then you truly know where you stand just in
Mhm.
life.
Uh-huh.
So doing it at the beginning and then periodically, like I would never do it more frequently than 8 weeks. you just won't see any results in that amount of time. Like fitness takes time. It's a slow bake thing, not a microwave thing. So
You're really good with the analogies today.
oh, yes. My hidden skill set.
Okay.
Good at English
Good in English.
So-
every now and then.
Slow cook, not microwave.
Yeah.
Agree.
So it's really great because you'll see where you stand in a whole bunch of different areas. We can't just test like, oh, how flexible are you? And then be like, yep, you're fit. It doesn't work like that. And then as you periodically test it, you'll see like, yes, I'm improving in this area, but this one isn't making any progress. Like, how do I need to change my workout to address that?
Well, and presumably all these areas, which I know we're not going into all of them today, but presumably they are all interconnected, right? One impacts another, and you kind of got to look at them as a whole.
For the most part. There's a couple that like could be kind of independent,
Okay.
but for the most part, for sure. But
Let's such a teaser because we don't know what they are.
yeah, let's talk about what they are. So I'm actually going to tell you all of them today. I'm not going to test you on all of them today. My original thought with this episode was to have Elizabeth and Maria do all the tests.
And me lacing up my sneakers.
So I can win.
But we're not going
That'll
to
be
do.
embarrassing for you. I'm glad we're not doing it.
But there's no shame in whatever your starting point is, so I
Yeah.
would not be embarrassed, Maria.
Okay.
Yeah, you should not be
Whatever.
embarrassed.
But I would still want to win. No.
You should not be embarrassed about where you are. This is just knowledge.
Yeah.
This is
It's-
data.
Yes.
It's just telling us where you are at this time. It doesn't tell us where you're going to be in 3 months or where you were 3 months ago.
Yeah,
So if you're
I was
higher-
gonna say, or exactly like what helped you get to this point, right?
Yeah, it doesn't tell you anything
Maybe you had
except
something
your
really
data today.
big going on. Yeah.
But if
It's
it's
a data
higher
point.
than your podcast co-host, is a good thing.
I'm gonna be both y'all, so I don't know what you're bragging about. Actually, I'm glad you guys are having this joke because it is very super common for somebody to be awesome at one of these things and then absolute trash at a different one. Like
She thinks we were joking.
it's all interconnected, yes, but people have like their strong points.
But that's life in general. I mean, we have strong points and other.
Yeah, we all have strengths, we all have
Yeah,
weaknesses.
I mean, I'm
right?
good at everything, but I guess
Right.
that's true for you
I'm
guys.
curious,
So,
Tara,
yeah.
actually, I always am of the belief that for most people, your biggest strength is also your biggest weakness, right? That's like knowing how to
Interesting.
harness it.
Sure.
Is that sort of like the same thing in fitness?
No.
No, okay.
I like that philosophy though. Like I'll probably marinate on that later.
Okay, so tell us, what are these? You said 6 areas?
Technically it's 5, but
Five.
we're gonna talk about 4 of them.
Okay.
And some of them have like subcategories. So
Okay.
when we're talking about this, we're thinking of things like cardiorespiratory endurance,
Got it.
right? Heart and lungs, circulatory system. How strong is that system for you?
Got it.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about muscular endurance.
Muscular endurance, not
Mhm.
muscular strength.
We are gonna talk about muscular strength,
Okay,
and then we're gonna talk about flexibility.
okay. And there's a couple of other categories that we're not gonna
That
go
I'll
today.
fail.
So like we can talk about
Yeah,
them all.
I'm just trying
but
to
I'm
make
not
sense of it
gonna-
in my brain. Okay.
Yep. So like a subcategory of
Yeah.
like flexibility, for example, would be like a functional movement screen. So we
Oh,
would look
interesting.
at like imbalances in your body, right to left, front to back. We
Got
would
it.
test you and see if certain things are like too tight or if they're too
Mhm.
strong
Uh-huh.
or if they're too flexible.
Yeah.
Right, and how they all kind of play in with each other. I'm not gonna do that on you guys today because that would take forever,
Okay.
and it's not really helpful without a visual,
Mhm.
which
Okay.
makes it not good for podcasting. But
All right, we're
um,
ready. What do we need to do?
all right, first thing, let's test your shoulder girdle flexibility.
What?
Ooh, I think mine's not gonna be good.
So what shoulder?
Shoulder girdle flexibility is how flexible your shoulder is. And the reason you would want to do this is for injury prevention of shoulders.
I already know mine's not good, but I'm
So,
curious.
okay.
To
I want
have
you
it
to
confirmed.
take your right arm straight up in the air and then reach it down your back as low as it'll possibly go. And then you're gonna take your left arm behind you and reach up
At the same time?
at the same time, as high as it'll possibly go. And if your fingers are touching,
All right, tell us.
they're touching.
Mine are like inches apart.
No, Maria's are touching. They're closer than yours, Elizabeth.
How far apart am I?
Just like
Very far,
centimeters.
very far,
Very,
girl, very far.
very far.
So guys, if
I'm
you're-
actually, but if I were to do the other hand, I don't think it would be like that.
yes, it is
Yeah,
very
so look,
commonly
That's
way
like
farther
super
apart.
far apart, right?
Maria is not even on her back hardly. I love it.
Let me see.
Wow, what a difference.
Yeah.
What
Oh
does
yeah,
that mean?
that's like a whole hand distance.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how mine is too, right?
Yeah, yours is like not quite as far apart as hers.
Okay, so what does that tell us? Because we both have that way different.
So essentially when it's
Per
different on each side, that's because of side dominance, right? The arm that's holding you back on this is usually your bottom arm.
Mm-hmm.
So this front of your shoulder is tight,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's not really a problem, but if it's so tight that you can't like reach up there at all, not as only is it inconvenient for life, right? Like, oh, I can't scratch my back right there, whatever. But it could potentially cause injury in your shoulder eventually. Right. So, an interesting way to work on this is actually really easy. You would take some sort of towel or band or your sweatshirt or whatever and hold it in your bottom hand and pull it up with your right hand
Mm-hmm.
so that you're stretching out the front of your shoulder. Where we want to be, perfect world. If you're like above average, 4 inches of overlap with your fingers.
Whew. You got some work to do there, Missy. You
Oh
with
my
your
God.
touching fingers.
Once you can get to this point where your fingertips can like touch each other
And then you can like
pull-
claw them
yeah,
up.
you can claw them up
Yeah,
and
geez.
eventually get to like there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're just barely touching there, Miss. I'm celebrating.
I still won, sweetheart.
So that's a really good example of like a flexibility test. Flexibility is joint specific. So you're going to want to do it for like your hamstrings or your lower back, your shoulders. Usually we test a couple different places just to see if there's any like outward injury potential there.
Okay, so we need to know this because I just hurt my neck doing that exercise, trying to beat Maria.
Right. Okay. So there's a good example.
So maybe don't turn it into competitive sport.
Yes. Also warm up before you do these.
Oh yeah.
Like
Now she tells us.
Doing it cold is
late.
not ideal for sure.
Yeah. But so that one specifically is really around injury prevention.
Mhm. Any flexibility test is going to be based around injury prevention.
Mhm.
If we've got like, oh my gosh, your hamstrings are so super tight, it's like you can't even sit straight with your legs out and touch your knees. Oh, a lower back injury is in your future.
Mm.
So if we know that, then we can go, let me focus your workouts on getting your hamstrings a little bit more flexible so that that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, love that.
How is that I'm 47 years old and nobody has proposed this self-assessment before?
That's a good question. We don't
Because-
talk about it outside of like a school setting
That
usually.
makes perfect sense because yes, if I'm exercising, I'll probably wanna focus on those areas that I need more work on.
Yeah,
Well, and also even if you're not exercising, now you know where the opportunities are if you do this, right?
Yeah.
Because flexibility is only one of how many
one
areas?
of
5 or
4.
6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like cardiorespiratory is another important one. And a super easy test for that is just your resting heart rate.
Mm.
You know, the average resting heart rate is between 60 and 100 beats per minute. Of course, that's not like a hard and fast rule. My husband, who is, you know, like a sizable human being and hates doing cardio, his resting heart rate is always around 50. Anytime he goes to get blood drawn, they go, or not blood drawn, but anytime he gets like a colonoscopy or surgery or something and he's hooked up to the monitors, they look at it and go, "Are these your numbers?"
Mhm.
And he always goes, "Aren't you supposed to know that?" And his one doctor told him like, "Well, these numbers just don't fit your picture." And he said, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "Well, you're a large Mexican man. These are more like Kenyan marathon runner numbers."
Wow.
And it's just like naturally how he
Yeah.
is, right? Genetic individual differences. And a great example of why you should not judge someone based on how they look.
Yes, thank you for saying that.
So, but this is your resting rate
mhm.
without, not right after you exercise.
No. Perfect
Yes.
world, you would do this first thing
I
in
was
the
gonna say
morning.
when you wake up in the morning.
Yes, when you
So it
wake up
can-
in the morning.
It
But
can be mine one right now. I have to be like laying down.
no, you can be sitting up for this. I mean, laying down.
Maria's looking at her
better.
Apple Watch for everyone out there wondering what's happening.
Yeah,
78.
you're a perfectly healthy girl.
You heard that?
Your heart is fine.
Nice.
Of course, there's more
I
nuance
was
to
gonna say
it than
that
that.
one aspect of your heart.
Yeah, it's not going super fast or slow, which is good. You know,
Yeah,
we don't want
let's
it to
just
go
say that.
too far in either direction. But that gives you a good idea of like, is your heart doing okay-ish? Yeah, we can see it from that. Blood pressure, same thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, is your blood pressure within normal boundaries? Okay, then we're probably doing okay cardiovascularly. There's also things you can do like a 1.5 mile run test or a 3-minute step test to get your heart rate up and then see how quickly you can recover, because
Right.
that's another aspect of cardiovascular fitness, right?
So these fitness, I think you have both mine and Maria's interest peaked in getting this fitness assessment done. Tell us what some of the other benefits of having one are.
Yeah, so when we know where you have like strengths and weaknesses, we can tailor your workout to that so that those don't become problems moving forward. Especially if you always have like this nagging injury, that's something that bothers you all the time. By doing a fitness assessment, we can see, this is the problem, and then take steps to rectify that.
Yeah, so it basically in my mind, that's like it's helping you identify where the imbalances are so that then you can try to correct them.
Yep.
So that maybe some of those nagging things go away and or so that you're setting yourself up for
Success.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
For better
Just
fitness.
trying to understand over here.
Yeah, it's also really good for posture. Not every test, right? Like doing the step up test isn't going to be something we do for posture, but like the flexibility test, the functional movement screens, those are all super good. So we can see like, oh, if you're always with your shoulders rounded all day, then we know we need to do more things like face pulls or back work so that it kind
Probably
of like
many of us, right?
resets.
Maria and I both are.
Yeah.
We're fixing our posture for all of you
Yeah,
out there. Which I know mine is. I'm not proud of mine.
Yeah, same. And we see like as we age, we have a tendency to let our head fall forward too.
Yeah.
You know, we've got this really like forward neck position, but then it feels weird for us to like tuck it back in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that feels really weird for me to
Sadly,
do that,
I worry.
but
I legit worry about that for kids. You know, they're always hunched over forward, looking at their phones. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, over time, that cannot be good for people's necks,
yes.
especially starting at such a young age. But
I actually have a friend
digress.
who like his rule in his house is if you're going to be on your phone, you must hold it at face height.
I try to
And do
remember to do
that.
that, but I'm not.
His kids hate it.
Yes.
But I do see them like on their phone, like
It
holding
is.
it
I
up
mean,
here
it's
and
better
doing
if
it.
you're
It's
gonna
crazy.
be on it, right?
Okay, on a side note, I think I have more wrinkles in my neck since I'm really looking at my phone all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like I love this all the
Oh yeah.
time.
I mean,
Yeah,
It's
that
also
makes sense,
aging,
right?
Also aging.
Skin elasticity.
kind of like people who have those crow's feet. More crow's feet means you've smiled more, right?
Yeah. What happened, Elizabeth? You've never smiled?
You have a lovely smile, Maria.
I guess I smile
And
a
you be
lot.
quiet over there. I have plenty of crow's feet.
So anyway, you also want to test your muscular endurance. So that's something like a sit-up test or a push-up test, a
Oh,
plank
that's
test.
giving me flashbacks to elementary school
Yes.
and the presidential sit up, whatever.
Yep, you want to do those.
I have a question about this that I have been wondering. So when we were kids, right, and we did those, it was always like those very traditional sit-ups where you start laying on the floor and you go all the way up. But I noticed that in any workout now that I tend to do with abs, it's never that.
Yes.
It's
Sit-ups
why?
are
Why
very
not?
much.
How do you remember that happened so long ago?
Well, I don't know what it was like in Venezuela, but in the United States, there are these presidential.
I
What
think
are
he's
they
calling you old, Elizabeth.
Is that what you were trying to
She did very
say?
But yeah, we did do the president's fitness test like
It was
multiple
like such
times
a
a
big
year.
thing.
Yeah.
Did you have that? Surely not,
Again,
because you
how
didn't
do
have
you
the same
remember
president.
if it happened so long ago? We're talking about like 40 years ago.
I like to think
Like
it's
a
all those
lot.
omega-3s contributing to my cognitive function.
I guess.
Must be. That's why you don't have
Actually,
any
I
smile
have
lines either.
terrible memory. My husband always says I cannot remember squat, but for some reason I do remember that, Maria.
Wow.
And yes, I
So-
am going to ignore your digs at my age.
To answer your question, Elizabeth, it's because we realized that doing traditional sit-ups really engages your hip flexors like a ton, but it's actually not super great for engaging your abs. So it's basically teaching people.
You mean all those years ago we weren't even working our abs?
Not really.
That's actually quite funny.
I mean, it's like a stabilizing muscle, a supporting muscle, but the hip flexor is like the main prime mover there. And the hip flexor is only like 4 inches long. And we use it all the time when we're walking, which by the way, you should walk a lot. You know, it's one of those things.
To go back to another episode.
Yeah, flashback. It's already strong. We don't really need to make it stronger. So let's use a more effective way to measure
more like
our core.
isolate. So now we have more effective exercises for isolating that abdominal muscles, basically.
The plank
I
test is a good example of that.
Actually, it is something that I'm like, why don't people do those anymore? I didn't understand.
Now and then I'll throw them into a routine just for like some variety.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you haven't done this in 40 years. Let's try it again. You know, but like, it's definitely not the best way to work your abs.
Yeah.
But by working on muscular endurance, stuff like that, it is definitely important because it'll show you where you have some weaknesses or where you're really awesome.
Okay, well, I'm definitely signing up to do this full fitness assessment in a time with you.
Yes, so let's talk about that for one quick second. So I'm launching a new offering pretty soon. DM me to get on the wait list or send me an email or text, reach out in some kind of way, and I will put you on my wait list because I'm going to be offering
I'm pulling out my phone right now. Not joking. I really want to do this.
Do you know her phone number?
Can you just put me on the wait list?
Yes, I'll put you on the
do I
wait list.
have to DM you?
Yes.
I think I can connect with you.
Okay, thank you.
But essentially what I'm going to be doing is a whole like 3-hour battery of test, including things for health like blood pressure and resting heart rate, things for strength like 1-rep maxes, flexibility, postural assessments, functional movement screens. Like it is going to be super, super comprehensive, and it'll give you everything you need to know about your body so that you can have a more effective workout and actually get the results that you want. We're going to do balance challenges. It's going to be awesome.
And prevent injuries, you said, right?
Yeah. Injury prevention is like the main reason for this. But if you have injuries already, it might help us pinpoint what's going on with that nagging thing that's been bothering you for 5 years.
What a cool way to get a snapshot of, it's almost like going to your doctor for a physical, but this is like specifically for your fitness life.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Message me if you want to get in on that.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Wellness Rebranded, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Maria, you and I will compare notes from our assessments and reconvene on the pod.
Oh, sweetheart. Save the embarrassment. Thank you, everyone, and until next time. We are always looking for products out there that support mental health and spread a good message. That's how we found Happy, Happii, and we fell in love with their mission and purpose. You can find well-made, beautiful jewelry, clothing, stationery with supportive messages. Here at Wellness Rebranded, we created an affiliate relationship with Happy to offer our listeners a 10% discount. Use the link in the show notes to check out all the amazing products, buy something for you or a friend or both, and let's keep opening conversations about the importance of prioritizing mental health. Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me outside of this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at coaching_therapist.
I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at Elizabeth Harris Nutrition or in my Facebook group, Health and Healing with Intuitive Eating.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Tara DeLeon Fitness. Guys, if you loved this episode or any of our other episodes, we would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really, really helps us get the non-diet word out to the rest of the world. So please leave us a review.
Yes, thank you.